So I've been on the street since 1980. I worked for somebody else in another antique shop while I was training. And then I opened here in 1989. And I've been here since then, and ended up buying the other building beside me, which ended up making the gallery quite big. And then in 1995, I opened in New York. I decided at that stage that either to open a shop in London or New York, and went for New York. And I've been there ever since, 30 years. I thought of London, and then it was pre the peace process. So I looked to New York. I opened in New York. And I think fundamentally I made the right choice. London there was a lot of dealers. I did a lot of business in London at that time. My mother was a great collector when I was growing up, and I used to go to the auctions with her. And maybe that's possibility of why, but I didn't think I'd be in the antique trade. But I adore the trade. I love meeting people, and I love buying something for £1 and selling it for £1.50. Antiques are interesting. I mean, a lot of the good pieces I'm getting now are pieces I sold in the 80s that are coming back, or in the 90s that are coming back to me after the kids grow up and the parents move out of the bigger houses. They ring me back up and say, listen, we want to downsize, do you want to buy some? And there's where I'm getting the best pieces, because there's very little out on the market now that doesn't, if it goes out on the market, it goes through the roof, and it's very hard for a dealer to buy it. So unbeknownst to me, I bought this grandfather clock, and the case was made by Chippendale, and the works were George Marlborough, and it had been owned by George III. And the only reason I got to know that was a few months later, I was in London at the Masterpiece show, and a dealer friend of mine, who I'd done a favour for a few years previously, stopped and told me the history of the clock. He had been the underbidder. And that's how I got to know that it was owned by George III and all that. So, of course, the clock. It took 6 months for the royal clock fixers to repair it. And it turned out to be quite good. So that was one of the most exciting things. Social media and technology has sort of, in some ways, helped the antique trade, but in some ways damaged it. It's opened up the whole world to when something comes online. So if something comes in an auction, everybody can see it. Whereas before you'd had to travel down in your car, you could go to the west of England, you could go to the south of Ireland, and you might be the only dealer, or maybe another dealer, local dealer there with you, that you can buy the piece. So that has changed it. But it's also opened up the antique dealer to loads of things that are for offer around the world. So it's a catch-22. Selling, I mean, I deal in very good furniture and pieces of art and stuff. So collectors really, you know, good pieces will always sell. I mean, will always sell.